Hello and welcome to another captivating weekend edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Theodore Henry, your host for today's enlightening journey. Thanks for joining us.
Carbon monoxide poisoning is a silent but deadly threat, especially when using generators and other fuel-burning devices. Here's how you can keep your home and family safe. Never use a generator, grill, camp stove, or other gasoline, propane, natural gas, or charcoal burning devices inside a home, garage, or any partially enclosed area. Keep these devices outdoors, away from doors, windows, and vents that could allow carbon monoxide to come indoors. For your cooking gas stoves, always ensure they are well ventilated by using an exhaust fan or opening windows to allow fresh air to circulate and prevent carbon monoxide buildup. Simply opening doors and windows or using fans may prevent CO buildup in the home. Carbon monoxide can't be seen or smelled, but it can rapidly lead to full incapacitation and death. If you start to feel sick, dizzy, or weak while using a generator, get to fresh air right away. Do not delay. Install CO alarms in central locations on every level of your home and outside sleeping areas to provide early warning of carbon monoxide accumulation. Test the batteries frequently and replace them when needed. If the carbon monoxide alarm sounds, move quickly to a fresh air location outdoors or by an open window or door. Protect your home and loved ones from carbon monoxide poisoning. Stay safe and be aware.
Thanks for staying with us. July 26th was celebrated as the International Day for the Conservation of the Mangrove Ecosystem. Now, that was yesterday, but the topic is one we think is deserving of your attention every day. So today, let's revisit Jamaica's ongoing efforts, led by the Forestry Department, to enhance the country's mangrove ecosystem.
Imagine you have a plant which can take salt water and take fresh water out of it. You therefore need to salute that plant because it is able to find the own water that it needs from salt water that it's literally sitting in. It doesn't need to run away or escape. That gives it a niche specialization, which means others can't complete. Well, mangroves do that. Imagine you have a plant where it says, okay, I'm going to take in all the salt water and I'm going to just sequester all the salt and push it into a special area. Compartmentalization. Mangroves do that.
Mangroves are tropical and subtropical plants that live primarily in coastal environments. They are a crucial component of Jamaica's coastal ecosystem. There are 4 types of mangroves: red, black, white, and buttonwood. They all help to safeguard us from the many environmental threats our country faces. Mangrove forests provide over 200 documented uses worldwide. In Jamaica, they control erosion, improve water quantity, trap soil and sediments, protect coral reefs, and build up the land. Without them, the health of our coastal environment would be in jeopardy, as they build barriers to help safeguard communities and livelihoods from the rushing waves of the sea. They provide a nursery ground and habitat for fish and other species. Jamaica's mangroves also provide ecotourism opportunities and support livelihoods. Mangrove forests are among the most carbon-rich ecosystems globally, and they play a critical role in the fight against climate change. Between 2017 and 2021, there was a net loss of 16.9 hectares of mangroves, despite efforts to restore 2.7 hectares.
A significant portion of lost mangroves in Jamaica is estimated to be potentially restorable. However, recent losses emphasizes the urgency of effective conservation and restoration initiatives to address the ongoing challenges.
The documented losses are associated with both permitted and unplanned developments. Environmental threats include rising temperatures, decreased rainfall, and projected sea level rise, leading to increased water salinity in mangroves, which poses a risk of mangrove dieback.
For the first time in our history as a country, we have taken deliberate and concrete steps to codify strategies and actions geared at guiding our efforts to sustainably manage and protect the wetland forests remaining in Jamaica.
That plan is the Jamaica Mangrove Plus project. The project emphasizes a biodiversity positive approach to ensure the sustainable management of over 7,000 hectares of Jamaica's mangrove ecosystem. The initiative encompasses 3 core components: national mangrove policy strengthening, mangrove ecosystem restoration, as well as knowledge management, project monitoring, and evaluation. Among other things, the goal of the project is to restore health to mangrove habitats and establish new mangrove protected areas.
To achieve this goal, we will seek to make the necessary changes to policies, create a more conducive environment for mangrove sustainability, raise awareness among relevant stakeholders about the significance of mangroves, create and popularize maps to illustrate wetland forests, proposed zones, and areas under consideration for preservation and restoration. Develop a dedicated website to provide real-time updates on the status of management of wetland forests. Designate areas for protection, and importantly, rehabilitate and restore degraded areas.
Conservation should be our major goal, considering all we've already taken out, the value that we know it has, its intrinsic and future value, and how slowly, I don't want to say how poorly, but how slowly our restoration happens. It is incumbent on us to use the valuations by whatever means you consider, whether monetary, whether socially, whether environmentally, to conserve that which we have.
Establishing new mangrove protected areas and restoring ecosystems not only safeguards key habitats and species, but also the well-being of coastal and inland communities whose livelihoods depend on these vital ecosystems. The project's significance extends beyond the local context with clear links to climate change adaptation and mitigation. Mangroves act as natural buffers against the impacts of climate change, providing essential protection from hurricanes and storm surges. By investing in mangrove restoration and protection, Jamaica is taking a proactive step towards building resilience in the face of climate-related challenges.
Let's delve into the world of climate-smart agriculture practices, where each technique serves as a pivotal move in a game of sustainability.
Choosing the freshest produce at the market is something that we all do as Jamaicans, especially when we want to whip up a mouth-watering pot of food. Incorporating climate-smart agricultural practices is one way to ensure that there is no disruption in our food quality, availability, and accessibility. But what exactly is climate-smart agriculture? It is simply farming practices designed to improve the resilience and the productivity of land affected by climate change. After a trip to get the freshest vegetables, I set aside time on another day to witness examples of Jamaicans employing climate-smart agricultural practices that should boost farm productivity and efficiency while lowering environmental impact. Here's what I've learned. 22-year-old Javian Bassier, who finished third in a competition for agricultural smart technology, has developed smart irrigation technology that he uses on his own farm in Clarendon.
I've made an irrigation system that is fully automated, and it can stay at home on your Android phone and operate it. So it chips in the water because you have sensor in the field, so it will chip in and chip out water when it's needed. A system like this will get 15% more yield, less in labor costs. A system like this now is a very good system to have because it's labor conscious, so you don't spend as much money for labor, and then your plant get adequate water when needed and when not needed to turn off.
At the College of Agriculture, Science and Education case, they are pairing aquaculture and hydroponics to get double the bang for the buck.
We are demonstrating the aquaponics system. Aquaponics itself is an integration of hydroponics and aquaculture. Now, just to tell you how it works. Now, the fish will get food. When the fish get the food, they produce waste. This waste is usually rich in nitrogen, and therefore this is going to be converted by bacteria, and the plants will use this as food. So what we do is that we're getting two sources of food while we're only offering food to one.
Agriculture uses about 70% of the world's supply of fresh water, and aquaponics help to reduce that, while also allowing for growing foods on less land acreage.
Based on modern day technology, we are basically introducing smart agriculture practice. And this is a way in which we can conserve, especially on water. In an aquaponic system, we are using 90% less water to grow crop than we would use in regular outfield. And we are also harvesting crop much earlier. In addition, we increase the stocking density over the different areas. So we basically are getting better yield, faster time, and we're using less water, so it's more efficient. We just want you to understand that there are three organisms that work in order to get the miracle of this system. The fish, the bacteria that are going to convert in the waste from the fish, and the plant, which is the vegetable, which is going to produce food for us. So it is a system that you can adopt for urban area or for commercial system, and it works just magical for all operators.
Can we get any more creative than this? Yes, we can. Youth farmer and student Denicia Garden demonstrates how anyone can use vermin composting to be environmentally responsible.
So this is something simple. You can start this by using simple things, everyday materials that you have within your backyard or within your household. So you can just use your regular waste. We're showcasing the vermicomposting, and that is done with the use of the California redworms. So these are earthworms that we use to break down organic waste into nutrient-rich solutions. For our vermicomposting that we have here, you'll see that we just use feces from our farm, from our small ruminants farm, and we use waste grass. So that's all we use. So this is something that we're supposed to think about doing because it is environmentally sustainable and eco-friendly. So it doesn't affect the environment in a negative way, and it decreases the greenhouse gas emissions within the air. So it is very eco-friendly.
Climate-smart agricultural practices boost farmers' livelihoods and open new economic avenues for them and the country. Being inventive and applying these practices not only enhance climate resilience and reduce pollution and other environmental hazards, but also increase productivity.
Up next, we take a look at the Ministry of Justice's branches and their initiatives aimed at making justice accessible to children.
The journey of a child entangled in the justice system can be daunting. But within Jamaica's justice landscape, there's a beacon of hope, a network of child-focused services dedicated to guiding young individuals toward a brighter future. From diversion programs to victim support initiatives, these services aim to provide holistic care, rehabilitation, and empowerment for Jamaica's youth. These programs are offered through several branches of the Ministry of Justice.
Child diversion, as the name implies, is a way of diverting children from the formal justice system into other options or other services that can provide rehabilitation and reintegration. The program focuses on children between the ages of 12 and 17 who come into conflict with the formal justice system. What this means is the child is suspected of an offense, they're accused of an offense, or they are charged with an offense. Once this takes place, a child can be referred by the police or the court to the child diversion offices across the island, so that if they make a mistake or they make a bad decision, they won't be criminalized and they won't have to live with that decision for the rest of their lives, as long as they abide by the program and they complete the program.
Support is also offered to persons who have been harmed by a crime through the Victim Services branch within the Ministry's Social Service Division. This branch is charged with the responsibility to provide counseling, emotional support, and therapy to persons who are victims of crime. They provide a service that is confidential, professional, and neutral.
The language of children is play, and we have found, especially with the very younger clients, that in utilizing play therapy mechanisms, it is very effective in terms of reaching them, in terms of getting them to open up to us and to be able to tell their story, and for us to be able to work through the traumatic symptoms with them. One of our flagship programs is that we provide court support for individuals. We use behavior modification interventions, we use cultural restructuring mechanisms to be able to help the child to understand what is happening to them. One such program is our cultural resocialization program. Another intervention that we utilize is our Overcomers in Action program. And this one is geared specifically towards females who have been sexually abused. It's a group therapy intervention that runs for 6 sessions, and it culminates in a graduation ceremony.
The Restorative Justice Branch provides support to both the victims and perpetrators of crime, prioritizing accountability and healing over mere punishment. It aims to repair relationships, reintegrate offenders into communities, and foster healing for victims and communities. The branch also ensures the lasting impact of conflict resolution skills learned through its training programs in educational institutions. Through a memorandum of understanding between the Ministries of Justice and Education and Youth, significant stride is being made. Since 2022, over 12,000 participants from schools nationwide have had the opportunity to engage in 2-day training workshops focused on restorative justice.
Restorative practices is focused on healing. What it does, it is an investment into relationships among these critical players within the institutions. Additionally, restorative practices hold each player accountable, and this is done by engaging them in collaborative conversations that allows them to explore their actions, their decisions, and their behaviors to recognize the impact that it would have had on the persons around them. And so from these conversations, we see a mounting personal development and change among the key players. These are very important if we are trying to rewrite the narrative of how we resolve conflicts and disputes.
Through the Social Justice Division of the Ministry of Justice, we are committed to
healing and justice for all children,
creating a circle of care,
delivering justice that heals, and
together we are taking justice to the people of Jamaica.
In a landscape often shadowed by challenges, Jamaica's child-focused services stand as pillars of hope, offering a lifeline to young individuals in need. Through comprehensive care, empowerment, and community support, these initiatives are not just shaping individual lives, but laying the foundation for a more inclusive, compassionate, and safe society for all.
It is summer and you may be on the road more than usual. Now, while we encourage you to drive safely, it is important to know what to do in the event of a motor vehicle crash.
You know how they say accidents do happen, unexpectedly and often unintentionally. Though road safety experts no longer define these unfortunate incidents involving motor vehicles as accidents, they're certainly never intended. Unfavorable weather conditions, objects on the road, your miscalculation while driving, or another driver can cause crashes, even for the best defensive drivers. That's exactly why it's important to know how to respond in these situations. So, what do you do at that exact moment? What should be your next steps? And when and how should you file a police report?
For the number of reports that come to this station, perhaps it's on a basis of about 10 to 15 per day. That's the number of accidents per day. So after a road traffic accident, person should first try to clear the roadway if they are obstructing the traffic for other motorists. Secondly, drivers are expected to exchange vehicle documents, and the document should include their registration certificate, certificate of fitness, insurance certificate, and your driver's license information. Those are the essential 4 pieces of information that should be provided to both parties after an accident. Contact information is optional, but you have cases where a person tries to settle outside insurance, and that's now a civil matter. It's an agreement between both parties, so if they want to exchange contact information, that's also optional, depending on the intention that they have in terms of fixing the vehicle outside insurance or what.
Your next step? Making a police report about the collision. This is always a good idea. That way you have proof of exactly what happened and the scope of any injuries.
In terms of our approach as police officers for a motor vehicle accident, first, the critical thing is to check for injuries, make sure that persons are okay. If there's a need for a person to be assisted to the hospital for any sort of treatment, we should make sure we render assistance to persons in need of that care first. Secondly, we check for the damage for the vehicles, make sure there is no obstruction along the roadway, and then we can treat with the document or the exchange of particulars between both parties. After making a report of a motor vehicle accident, the next step that persons are advised to do is to make a report to their insurance company, and that's for another motorist. As it relates to a pedestrian or persons who are injured, they are also advised to get the assistance of an attorney to file a personal injury claim against the party that is liable in the accident. For follow-up visits, what we do, we have cases where persons are seriously injured, some of which are not able to make it to the station to give a report in the first instance. So what we try to do, whether the persons are hospitalized, we ensure that visits are made and that the person's conditions are updated as we go along. As we through the investigation, we ensure that the person's conditions are updated along the procedure.
But Are you always required to report traffic collisions?
Not in all cases a report must be filed for accidents. We have situations where it could be a very minor mishap. For example, someone could be reversing from their garage, they could bump their gate. So in those cases, it's not necessary for them to make a report. But for other situations involving another motorist, or a case where a pedestrian or a property is damaged, a report is expected to be made because persons at times are expected to make claims, whether from their insurance company or their attorneys, based on the damage received or the injuries they've sustained.
Reports from the Road Safety Unit shows that up to April 26, 139 lives have been cut short because of road crashes this year, with over 100 of those being males. And for the corresponding period last year, 136 lives were lost in road crashes. On a more global level, studies from the World Health Organization (WHO) show that approximately 1.35 million people die each year as a result of road traffic crashes, and 3% of most countries' gross domestic product is spent on road traffic crashes.
The most common cause of motor vehicle accidents, from my understanding, it's mostly impatience on the part of some of the drivers and lack of knowledge as to how the roadways should be used. And I also believe the implementation of traffic signs at various areas would also aid the process, because most drivers are not aware of what to do at various parts of the roadway.
In the face of such figures, even the most careful driver can suddenly encounter a bit of bad fortune on the road. You know that saying, decisions can be like car accidents, sudden and full of consequences. So how about making the right decision to be responsible road users today?
The University of the West Indies is inviting the public to engage in a reasoning about reform of the Jamaica Constitution and delinking from the British monarchy with former Prime Minister of Jamaica Bruce Golding. The reasoning will take place on Tuesday, July 30 at 2 p.m. in Lecture Theatre 2 by the Faculty of Law. The Andrews Memorial Seventh-day Adventist Spanish Church is inviting Spanish-speaking individuals residing in Jamaica and others intrigued by the language to embrace faith and community with them at 29 Hope Road, Kingston 10, on the grounds of the Andrews Memorial Seventh-day Adventist Church. And that's all for our community notices this Saturday. If you have a community event to share on our notice board, give us a call at 876-922-8680 or email jatkinson@jis.gov.jm.
As we conclude today's edition of Jamaica Magazine, we hope you enjoyed these informative features. Stay connected with the JIS through our website at jis.gov.jm and social media. On behalf of the production team, I'm Theodore Henry, wishing you a fantastic weekend.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.